Welcome to the National Baseball League. Alright, here's board 1 to 2. Yeah, I'm recording this, and then right after this, I'll do the game. And then after the game's done, I'll record part 2 of this and upload it. That's how this will work. Since, yeah, I'm behind. Things are a mess right now. Because I screwed up a bit, so. Because I'll explain what happened here. So, I assumed 2 games from the same day. That's what happened here. So, I'm going to say this is for yesterday. But a game was played Wednesday, so there is that, and then an entire day will be skipped, so I can still have a certain game, so I can have the Bayfront Classic tonight. So we start with the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Orlando Sunrise Series tied at 1 with this win from the Vancouver Grizzlies. Big win, as they won it 7-1, and they shut down the Sunrise with a 6-run win. 7 runs, 12 hits, and an error for the Vancouver Grizzlies. Consistent and good base hits. Good contact. They're bringing in runs. The Orlando Sunrise just won. They're right back to struggling. They struggle. Series tied at 1. They get a win, and then they fall right. It's like, nope. It's like relapsing. They relapse. No, don't not. I'm not talking about that. You know what that can. It's like, when you're like drinking alcohol or something, doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing, but you do it anyway. And then you quit, and then you start being, I'm doing good. Nope. And then you fall right back in. That's a Sunrays with losing. They get, hey, they won one. And then, hey, they won another one. Not be exactly back to back, but hey, they won a couple. And then they go right back to losing and being very bad. That's the Orlando Sunrise. And maybe they go right back to right down the train of losers. Series tied at 1 in there. And to San Diego and St. Louis, just spent a bit of time on that one. So this one will go through much quicker. Pretty much the same type of game. San Diego Seals, this one I covered. This is the one I covered that happened yesterday. Seals win 6-1 over the St. Louis Stars. And it's like salt. What is this stuff? It's like salt. I don't know. So series started 1 there. San Diego, they lost game 1 of their series, and they come back in late. They just do not let St. Louis do anything. They didn't let them do 3 hits. They didn't let them do it. They scored 1 run off sacrifice ground ball. That's the only run they scored the whole game. St. Louis, pretty much pathetic. Seriously, it's a good response for the San Diego Seals. They played fantastic in that game. Won 6-1. So, really good job. 10 hits. Fantastic for San Diego. Series tied 1. Then we had Montreal Expos and the San Francisco Firebirds. The first 5 series are all tied 1 game apiece. That's interesting. So, San Francisco Firebirds with a 5-1 win over the Montreal Expos. Series tied at 1 here is Montreal took game 1. San Francisco with an answer, but similar to Tampa Bay, these two. They struggled in game 1, and then they have their response in game 2. 5-1 win on 12 hits and no errors. Montreal, unlike St. Louis, they were getting hits, but they didn't bring anything home. They brought a single run home, and that's it. They couldn't bring runs home. So they lose 5-1 to the Firebirds. Series tied at 1. We'll see who wins the series. Then we head to Chicago and Cincinnati. Second of a 3-game set there. Chicago, same thing. Same thing here. Cincinnati takes game 1. Then Chicago responds back and say, how about not this time? Not today. Railers win 6-1 over the Cincinnati Stingers. And the Railers have 8 hits. And they're getting good productive hits too. Cincinnati Stingers, St. Louis, they couldn't hit. And they could not hit. Series tied at 1. Good job, Chicago. Let's see who wins the series. Going to the New York Knights and the Oakland Oceans. Knights win 6-3 over the Oakland Ocean. Series tied 1 game apiece. So the New York Knights here, They did enough to hold on. Pretty close one. Oakland, they made you think they were going to get there, and then the Knights did a great job defensively getting out of those innings. And they hold on to win 6-3 over the Ocean. So it's kind of like damage control. That's entirely what it's what playing defense in baseball is. It's all about damage control. How much can you keep the damage at bay? Think of it like a dam. For like a hurricane or something like that, or a flood. The dam, it is there to protect, to block the offense that it's meant to block the water. The dam is the defense. The water is the offense. And when the water breaks through the dam and comes through, that's the attack. That's what the actual offense. So the dam really broke through. The Knights, some of it got through, but not enough that it didn't do any real harm, but close. And they were able to like patch it up and stuff. I know I'm using an analogy, but the Knights win 6-3 over the Oakland Ocean, and the series out of 1. They went to the Cosmos. Aviators struggling again, first a 4-3 loss, and then they lose 6-3 to the Cosmos. And this time they got a lot of hits. They seem to be doing everything right, but they're not. They can't bring enough home, and their defense is struggling. They give up 6 runs in this game to the Cosmos. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. Cosmos win the series. They're probably gonna take all 3, sweep them. We'll see. I get it. Houston's a good team, but I want to see better effort. The way to the Philadelphia Liberty. As they went 8-4 over the Texas Twisters, and they take 2 of a 3-game set against the Texas Twisters. So for the Philadelphia Liberty here, good job. They scored runs. That's what they did in this game. They scored runs. Not a lot of hits, but they scored runs. They had more runs than hits. So they relied on some walks and some other ways of getting on base. And the hits they got were good hits because they scored 8 runs. Twisters, they put their best effort, but good job by Philadelphia to not only get that big 4-run lead, but then hold on to it throughout the game. They take a 2-0 series lead. They win it. Win the series. Look for the sweep today. The way to the Minnesota Northern Lights and the Washington Monuments. So Monuments win 8-4. No, the Northern Lights win 8-4 after the Monuments took game 1 of the series. Good job for the Minnesota Northern Lights. 8 runs on 11 hits. Similar to Philly's defense. The numbers for the opposing team are the same. They're the exact same for these 2 games for the losing team. Washington Monuments, I mean, again, they put up their fight. But Minnesota already had the lead, and their defense was good enough to just, it's just not going to happen. And it didn't. And moving to the bottom row, the Detroit Mariners, Toronto Huskies. Series out of 1. And Toronto took game 1 of those. But again, similar to the games up here, Detroit says they storm back and they have a response. They win 7-2 on 8 hits. So some good hits similar to like Philadelphia here. The Detroit Motors, good hits. Like, probably more doubles, triples, and even home runs. Instead of, oh, here's my little weak bloop single. And then the inning would end or something. Because that's how you get to... This is probably the best example. I know they still won the game, but there are probably things like bloop singles in there. That's in for a bloop single. Or here. Stuff like singles, maybe doubles, but I don't think much beyond that for the way... We'll get to this game. I'll talk about it. So, good job. Good job by Detroit to just overload defensively. Toronto made some bad mistakes. 2 errors in this game. And the Huskies, they put up 2 runs in 5 hits, and they couldn't really hit. So this is similar. It's very similar. A lot of these games have similarities. Then we get into some weird games. Here's where the dates come. Because it's the one that was played on Wednesday. Tampa Bay Titans, Atlanta Arrows. blowout win for the Titans, 10-4 over Atlanta. Tampa Bay, they got it's that fifth inning. It was that fifth inning that got them that big lead. And then they just held on to it, and that inning was so good. I loved it, every second of it. It was just so ridiculous. Then I said, and he's gonna hit a line drive double. Watch him hit a line drive double. I believe it was Carlos Rivera. I believe he's a custom player. And then I said, watch him, he's gonna hit a line drive double. And then he hit a line drive double. I was just laughing because I didn't believe it. That was interesting. So Tampa Bay, they get a win here. They could split the series, we'll see. They should have been played, probably, this would have been finished yesterday, but since I screwed up the schedule and stuff, it's going to be finished today. Then we head to the Albuquerque Aliens, Boston Whalers. Aliens win, they shut them out. And they win 3-0, which is just fantastic for the Aliens. They held Boston, they kept Boston up on the bases. They didn't bring a single run home. 9 hits and an error for the Boston Whalers. This team is a good team. They score runs, but they're starting to struggle. Something. Looks like that. Maybe they have a similar problem to what the Dodgers have now, because they're struggling in Major League Baseball. And they have the top best. Both these teams have the best player in the world. So maybe there's something there. That would be Shohei Ohtani. Then we into the final game of the sport. Then I'll do a game more too after the game, and then I'll upload it. And then I'll also post yesterday's games. And tomorrow morning, I'll do today's games. There we go. Probably tomorrow at noon. Maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, we'll see. So we into the final game. Edmonton Eagles, Portland Anchors. So the Anchors here, similar to up here with the St. Louis Stars. But Edmonton had pretty much the same problem. It was a very defensive game, not really hitting on either side. Edmonton Eagles, they snuff it out, and it's very difficult, very close defensive game, pitch and duel type of stuff. Great pitching. Anchors 3 hits in a run, that's it. And the Eagles just have 5 hits. But they're able to bring that second run home, which wins them the game despite their 2 errors. And then they won both games of this series so far. They win 2-0. That's sport number 1 for yesterday's games. Here's sport number 2. So, here's board number 2. Alright, so we have just 3 games. So we have the Seattle Sasquatch and the Memphis Blues. So, series tied at 1. I didn't put the 1. Small mistake. That's fine. Pretty close game in terms of hits. Both teams, they got the exact same amount of hits registered in this game. But Memphis couldn't actually bring runs home. The Sasquatch couldn't. They're getting higher quality hits, and that's what's winning in this game. And Memphis, their pitching staff, maybe something like that. The game just blew wide open, and they had no response. Sasquatch wins 6-2 over the Memphis Blues. Series tied 1 apiece. Then we had game 2, the Utah Raptors. Game 2 on this board. The Utah Raptors also game 2 of a 3-game series. Utah Raptors and the New Orleans Gators. So Raptors take game 1 of this series. And then finally, I think it was like 4 or 5 in a row that Utah, I believe, yeah, either 4 or 5 in a row that Utah, 4 in a row that Utah won. And then the Gators, they end it here by basically the same thing that happened here. Both teams are hitting about the same offensively. Just one team is getting higher quality hits, and another team is struggling with pitching. Utah, their pitching struggled a bit in this game, and the Gators also had better hits, and it caused them to win 5-3. And Utah didn't have a response. Similar story, just this one's a little more obvious. This one's a little more, the gap's a bit bigger in this one. The goal differential, the run differential is bigger in this one than in this game. Similar stories though. Then we head to the series tied at 1 here. Then we head to the final game on this board. We have the Las Vegas Gamblers and the New York Sailors. Great job of the Sailors defensively, offensively. They get their 4 runs in, and they hold the Gamblers to 4 hits. Shut them out. And they're looking for the sweep. Sailors led the series 2 games up. They won the first two. They won the series. Now they're looking for the sweep. And you'll see if it happens tomorrow. And that does it. I'm Thomas Rose. See ya. Goodbye.